So inside intimacy with ease, I have these coaching calls where people can show up and ask questions and get support. And this week, there was a most interesting question from one of my students because what he came in asking, just very matter of fact, is do my wife and I have the same course? Or do you have a different program for higher desire partners than lower desire partners? Now, the reason I find this so interesting is because, yes, they have the same course, the exact same set of videos, right, that go through my program. And this is fascinating because even so, two people can hear this so differently. So it's like they have two different courses. Part of the reason I'm sort of tickled by this question this week is this is something I already teach inside my content is how any two people are going to understand things differently. They're going to pay attention to different things. They're going to layer on different meaning. And it creates this gap in experience and understanding. And for a lot of couples, this is creating frustration and conflict and distance and more of an impasse or a stalemate in the relationship. But truly, it's an invitation to understand each other. Whenever we realize, wow, we've had one conversation, but the two of us took it so differently, we don't have to just be frustrated by that. We can be curious about it. There's room to explore. What did you hear? What did I hear? How did you take it? How did I take it? Right? To build some understanding and compassion for each other. So, this is a perfect example of our, neuroscience at work. Our brains filter things. We cannot take in all the data of our experience in every moment. It has to shortcut, it has to filter. And it filters based on what it has learned to pay attention to, right? We train our brains, not consciously, this happens as we develop. Our brain becomes trained about what to pay attention to, and it doesn't even notice the rest. So, certain things that we have deemed important or confirming, our brain will see, and other things it will not. So, these two people in my program could watch the exact same videos and not hear the same stuff. If you've heard the expression in one ear and out the other, that's what it means, right? Just gone, doesn't even register. So, each of them is like, it's almost like they're watching two different courses. Then we add on what our brain does with what we do notice. We interpret it. Our brains interpret it, layers on meaning. We take what we've heard and we run with it in terms of generally reinforcing the way we already think. And so we are prone to make interpretations about what we're hearing and assume we know what it means, and off we go. So two people could listen to my coursework, and if they hear me say something, they may take it in totally different directions in terms of what they think I meant, right? And the beauty of this, the challenge of this is to recognize that our brain is doing this and to question it, to not be so sure we're right, but to realize maybe my brain has filtered stuff. Maybe my brain has interpreted things in ways that don't help me, that don't line up with what was meant, that certainly might not line up with the way my partner took it. So it's a fascinating idea that these two people who have the exact same videos in front of them that any of you could watch could, at its heart, kind of have two different courses. And it's just such an opportunity to talk about it, to take one of these lessons or a conversation you might have with your partner that seems like, where did they come from? Where did they go with that? How is it like we've had two different conversations? To ask questions, to wonder what they heard, to wonder how they took that and where their brain went with it, right? And to challenge your own thinking, to wonder what you may have missed, what you didn't hear, what you didn't see, to wonder how your brain interpreted this and whether or not that might be right. Because these are just thoughts our brains have out of repetition, out of training. So it doesn't mean we're right. So to be able to challenge, first of all, recognize those interpretations, but then also challenge them. Maybe there are other ways to interpret this. Maybe I could clarify what the teacher meant, what the coach meant. Maybe I could compare how I took this with how my spouse took this. And there's room to not only connect and understand each other, but also to adjust our thinking, get on the same page, and make something more actionable. So anyway, I thought this was a fascinating real life example of what can happen with any two people in with the same content. It's like you're watching two different movies. So play with this a little bit, challenge your own thinking, get really curious about where your partner goes with stuff. And you're going to be amazed at what that does in terms of building empathy and rapport and understanding.